Welcome to Color Country Politics, where we discuss all the important political issues facing Iron County, Utah. Our guests include elected officials and community leaders in or representing Iron County. This is episode 55, Sharing is Caring.
Hey, and welcome back to Color Country Politics. We're so glad you're here. We have been doing a lot of politics lately, as is in our name, so that is what one would expect. But we are going to kind of break it up just a little bit. We are really thrilled to have Peggy Green from the Iron County Care and Share with us today. And she's going to talk to us a little bit about what the needs are in Iron County, what the Care and Share operation does, and how our community can help support their efforts. So Peggy, thanks so much for coming on. We're thrilled that you're here.
Thank you for having me. Thanks for breaking up my day.
You got it. Sometimes the days run on.
Right.
Right now, right? Okay. So Peggy, let's start. Just kind of give us an overview of what the Care and Share is. What do you guys do? Who do you serve? It kind of give us a little education on that.
Sure. Always a dangerous question to ask me sometimes, but I'll control myself. So Iron County Care and Share really has a three-prong business approach. We offer temporary emergency shelter. We have a shelter that houses up to about 40 individuals, depending on the combination of male-female. We do have 3 family rooms that we can keep families together, which is extremely important when you have a family coming into shelter, and then trying to get them on the way to self-sufficiency. We do offer day shelter, which is laundry, showers, hygiene kits, a sack lunch to anyone in the community. So you don't have to be staying with us in shelter. You don't have to be a client of the pantry. Anybody in the community can come for those daytime services. In addition, folks can join us for either one of the hot meals that we make during the day too. So breakfast or dinner, folks are welcome to drop by. And our food pantry, we serve about 650 families a month at a minimum. Of course, recently we've seen things increase dramatically. And we offer case management with all of our programs so that we can, offer wraparound services, not just give a handout, really try to lift people out of crisis. And then we also have housing assistance, utility assistance, some of those resources to help folks avoid homelessness.
How has your service changed with the COVID thing and sort of the economic impacts that our community is seeing? What are you guys seeing, and what has been the impact on your organization?
We saw changes through pantry almost right away. As we were sort of pivoting, changing up how we knew we had to change how we delivered our services. And so we were still kind of in that conversation phase. And the phone calls to shelter asking for space started to, amp up a little bit. And so we paid attention to that. But we saw phone calls and visits in pantry nearly immediately. And then as we knew people were coming to us on a regular basis and it was climbing, we started adding in those mobile pantries that we do to take out into the community. So no applications, no qualifications. You need food, you line up, we load it in your car, and you go. That's nearly tripled our regular pantry numbers. And in the very first week, and I'll hold it together and I won't cry, I promise. As we were talking to people in line that were coming to get food, and we would say, don't forget, we have other services, come to the Care and Share. And they're like, what's the Care and Share? And so when we discovered that 75, even more, I would say 85% of the folks in the line to pick up food had never reached out before. And the effects of, furloughs and layoffs and those types of things were almost immediately for families. They knew that would just affect the household budget. And if you consider that it's sort of like summer and all the kids are at home, that makes it even more needed.
So you mentioned some of the services that you provide, and some of that was, and I was writing some of it down. So helping with casework, and then what is that? Kind of break that down and tell us, like you were saying that there were 75 to 85 people who hadn't heard of the Care and Share and didn't know what those services entailed. So are you kind of acting like a hub to get people to other services? What is it? Tell us about that.
I think on a normal basis, yes, that's exactly what we should be. We should be the folks in the community that people can reach out to ask about resources, to lift themselves from crisis, whatever it may be. And we have, temporary shelter, we have housing assistance, and the food pantry. Case management, which really has the best success rates, is when a family or an individual can sit with one case manager and look at the big picture. This is kind of how I got here. This is what happened. Here's what I know that I bring to the table. And a case manager helps somebody pull in mainstream benefits to relieve some pressure off of the household. So being able to get Social Security if you're eligible and you've never signed up before, or to show someone how to sign up for SNAP, and then talk to them about the best way to use it. Because I think sometimes, if you've never received assistance, how do you maximize that? And I think that's what a case manager is good for, to help somebody look big picture and realize that everything is linked in your life.
So somebody who, say, finds themselves unemployed or furloughed or, something, and it's sort of an unfamiliar situation. I think that's happening more in our community now than it probably has in decades. So somebody who has been perfectly fine supporting their family, working, doing everything that they need to do, and then through no fault of their own, they find themselves in a tough economic situation. They can call the Care and Share, and you have people there that can kind of help them navigate all of these different programs, everything that's available to them, and act as sort of like just a kind of a temporary bridge until they can get something next, I guess, right?
Yes. I mean, all of the agencies, the federal funding, the state funding, anything that's related to poverty, homelessness, assistance, they're trying to make it easy for an entire community, exactly as you referenced. Those folks who don't know we exist and really what we do, but we know they're there and they need to hear from, they need to connect with us. Everybody's trying really hard to funnel that, to make it effective. So some of the FEMA money that's coming out, they took and they pushed into all of the associations of governments. So like in 5-County Association of Governments, the particular one that we belong to, they received the lump sum, and now each of our service providers will have their designated amount, and we will have that to help anyone in the community.
That's great. I think that's really important information to get out there. Let's talk just for a second, because we started this conversation before we began recording about donations, and you educated me as to how that has changed a little bit because of the Rona and all of this stuff that we're dealing with right now. So take us through kind of historically what you have been doing, how that's changed, and what do you need right now? What's the best way for this community to help you help other members in our community?
Got it. Typically, we take nearly any donations that folks want to bring to us. It's hard for us because we don't have, even normally, we don't have the capacity typically to process so many beautiful donations that people bring to us, whether it's clothing or household or food. The food, we absolutely know how to handle that. Not a problem. And that's what we're set up for. But sometimes when we get all of these other donations, when folks are thinking about us, it's difficult. Clothing needs to be and should be washed. Children's toys should be cleaned before we put them out for folks to grab. So going into COVID, we knew immediately we were not going to have near the ability to process anything, including the food donations. But in the beginning, we were hesitant to say, no food. We learned quickly, though, that as we should have known, Utah Food Bank has our back, and they take very good care of our community through us, and for that, we're grateful. So we didn't feel bad not taking food. But again, now it's different. One of the things for us, overarching all the time, Rona aside, our cash donations that come to us are the best things in the world, in all honesty. And I think sometimes it's the hardest thing to ask for. I have, 4 years later, and I think I have more guts than ever and no shame asking for cash. Grants are great, but grants have rules, and rules don't always fit the need of a community. So how do we make the connection between the two and help everyone in the community with what's really, really needed in the moment? When you have money and you have rules on it, you're not able to serve properly. So cash is king around our place.
That is such an interesting point to make. And it's one that I was not aware of until last year. I started serving on another local board that serves the community. And I had no idea that when you get these grants from whatever source, federal, state, sometimes private organizations, you can only spend that money on whatever it is that it has been designated for. So
and you have to prove it.
Yeah, exactly. And so if you have a grant that is just for survivor services, whatever, but you really need to use it for payroll to keep your people there, you can't go from one to another. So I don't know if everybody in the community, at least I was not aware of how important those cash donations are, because if you get cash donations from the community, you can use those to fill whatever gap you need in whatever grant is coming next, or this one might be ending, and really help bridge those gaps that might be happening in your funding. So I think that's a really important point to make.
I think it also allows us, and I know that I'm repeating myself, but to be able to serve to the need of the community. Sometimes you fill out a grant application and you're 6 months into the year and you realize that what's actually going on is not going to suit the dollars that were awarded to you, as you said, in those categories and the proof that you have to make. The other thing that I think, and I have a link and I will share this with you, there's a great TED Talk by a gentleman who talks about nonprofits are businesses. We're still a business. We still have overhead. We still have people to pay. We need to get insurance. The majority of those things are not supported in grants. Now, I can say on a positive note, I know that over the last year and a half, funders are changing their tune and donors are changing their tune, and our foundations are understanding that supporting the salaries of a nonprofit goes so far.
And I remember from the interview we did with Canyon Creek Services that a lot of the time you can use that cash to get matching funds. Do you find that that's something you run into as well?
Yeah, and I also think like Utah Food Bank does a really good job at this. And boy, I'm giving them lots of commercials, aren't I? They'll tell you that the buck that you give them, they can turn into about $7.38 worth of food. So, the agencies can maximize those cash donations. So that's a good point. Thank you. I'm glad you brought that up.
So, Peggy, how do people donate? Can they go right to your website?
they can call me. I make I go to homes all the time. No, I'm just kidding. Yes, on our website, you can donate online. If you're uncomfortable doing an online transaction, you can bring us a check. Our favorites are the monthly reoccurring donations by folks, because it gives us a sense of a little bit of foundation and some normalcy in our finances, if that makes sense. And I can tell you that we have the most amazing people in this community. And we have two young people. One young man is 10, and I think the young lady is 14. And each one of them have a monthly reoccurring donation that comes to us through PayPal. So every month, when I see these, the names of these folks, and especially a 10-year-old, that means stuff is good. Stuff's good. And we're lucky.
That is something that I think we say it a lot, but it hits home how great this community really is. How many people are so caring and so giving and so willing to lift each other up and help each other. It's a pretty amazing thing.
It is. And quickly, nobody hesitated to call us and say, what do you need? Our cash donations were showing up. And I just think to know that, sometimes when you're the person servicing, you're the service provider, you can get a little isolated, even in a small community. But when people act as fast as they did, and have been as caring as they are, it's pretty incredible.
That's great to hear. I'm so glad. How do people find you? What's your website? Do you have a Facebook page? What's the best way to get to you?
Yep, we have website, Care and Share, and it's A-N-D in there, -ut.org is our website. And all of our social media pieces are linked there. So if you can just remember the website, that's great. We are on Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, Twitter, all of those good things. We have to be on Twitter because that's how we have regular conversations with Spencer Cox via Twitter.
There you go.
We had to reach him on his level, and he's a tweeter. He is a tweeter. So it's great.
Spencer Cox is a tweeter. That is not right.
Yeah, so any way you want to reach us. And again, you can donate online via PayPal. You can send a check, whatever's comfortable.
Okay. Well, we'll put a link to that. I'm sure that, well, I say we, and I mean Jessie, really. Jessie will put a link to that in the show notes so that everybody will be able to.
Right? It's funny because it's really not far off from mine either. I like when I say we service 650 families. Yeah, no, I know whose boots are on the ground.
Right. So I guess it's easy for me to make promises here. But I'm sure that Jessie has the technology to get at least your website onto the show notes. Great. And so people can find you. And I would just, really, really encourage this community to take a look at that. I went to your website before getting on, and I was absolutely educated with the scope of the services that you provide. I had no idea. I knew that there was a food pantry, and I knew that there was a little bit of housing involved, but the case management stuff, I would encourage everybody to go to your website and just take a look at the scope of services that the Care and Share provides. It, like I say, it was quite educational for me. So before we go, Peggy, is there anything else that you want this community to know about the Care and Share?
I think the scope is big. We have lots of services. We appreciate everybody supporting us. One of the things we really want to focus on, though, is advocacy and solutions. In all honesty, as crazy as it sounds, I would like not to have this job in 5 years. And not because I went off the rails, but because we're no longer needed. That would be the ultimate. I mean, if we can really look, we were mentioning the community earlier. If it can happen anywhere, I am convinced it can happen in Cedar and in Iron County, that we demolish poverty and that we make our services now that are leaned on needed only intermittently, when a household has a hiccup, and that there are housing solutions for everyone and employment and all of these things that need to come together to really lift the community. And like I said, if it can happen anywhere, it's going to happen here. I would like it to happen in my lifetime. But really, we need the help, we need the support. But if what you do is introduce us to someone who needs us, we'll take it. Well
said. That's great. I'm going to go sign up for monthly donations right now.
Jump in there, or.
Well, Peggy, thank you so much for taking time to come on. I really appreciate it. It's kind of a good break for us to get maybe reconnected with some of these vital services in our community. And you are doing amazing work. Amazing work. I saw the awards on your website, so everybody should go check those out. The Iron County Care and Share is a vital part of this community and doing some really good stuff. So thank you.
Thank you. I appreciate the time. I really do. Thank you.
You got it. And I didn't introduce our hosts when I opened. So I'm Jennie Hendricks, and I'm here with my co-host, Jesse.
Howdy.
And now we're done. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in. This has been your latest episode of Color Country Politics, and we'll see you soon. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
You've been listening to Color Country Politics, a production in cooperation with Utah Politico Hub and graciously sponsored by Century 21 Prestige Realty at 121 North Main Street, Cedar City. Special thanks to Amoeba Crew for use of their song Background Indie Rock, licensed under Creative Commons. Subscribe to our podcast on iTunes, Google Play, or wherever fine podcasts are found. Also, check out our YouTube channel where we post video of our interviews. And don't forget to follow us on Twitter, Facebook, and our website at www.colorcountrypolitics.com.